2025 was about one thing: breaking through fear, through doubt, through loss. After losing my job and experiencing some very dark times, I had a choice: sit under the weight of despair and uncertainty, or putting absolute faith in the Lord, finding purpose and becoming a full-time artist and creator. Painting the Hulk with his raw, uncontrolled power smashing through walls and debris felt like the perfect symbol of that journey. Join me as I share with you my full creative process of my painting of breaking through. Welcome or welcome back. This is Arts of the Round Table. My name is Mello. 2026 is upon us. Happy New Year's. But before I set my sights forward, I want to pause, acknowledge, and appreciate the changes, hurdles, and experiences of the last year, while sharing with you this painting of the Incredible Hulk on screen on my tools. So let's start with a sketch, and let's talk about references. When I'm working on a character like the Hulk, I don't just use flat images. If I've got a figure like this toy, I'll throw it under a lamp, spin it around, look for angles of interest. Yeah, I'm messing around, I'm making noise. I'm playing with my toys. I'm playing with toys. But online, I'll sift through Pinterest and Google, not for someone else's style, but for mood, for a vibe, for fuel. Because there are so many great Hulk artists, the last thing I want to do is copy or compare. Sometimes I'll even put on a Hulk movie, listen to soundtracks or clips on YouTube just to catch that energy. But none of that means anything without an idea. So the title of this painting is Breaking Through, but the spark came from a single word: darkness. Here's what I mean. I hear the monsters roar. I hear military jargon. I hear gunfire. I hear explosions. The walls shake around me. Dust rains down on me. The ground feels unsteady. My eyes are clamped shut. Then the wall in front of me bursts open. Heat and light rush in. I cough. I smell smoke. My eyes flutter open. And there he is, the Hulk. He's breathing heavy. He's towering. I make eye contact. He lets out another roar, and I shut my eyes again. That moment, that whirlwind of chaos, fear, and finality was exactly how losing my job felt last year. I knew it was coming. I tried to brace myself, but when it finally hit, everything shook, everything crumbled, and everything changed forever. Here, I'm refining the pencils, doing what I believe I do best. But let's be honest, the anatomy on the Hulk makes no sense. It's absurd. Muscles on top of muscles, proportions that could never exist. Yet, that's what I do with pencil, ink, and brush. I'm a provider of illusions, a storyteller, smudging lines, creating depth where there is none, erasing and adding details to draw you in. All the things I've talked about in previous videos, pulling inspiration from giants like Dale Keown, defining a shoulder and dual lighting, the greats like Jack Kirby, Buscema, echoing the detail of Diodato with energy from Hubert McGinnis and the lines of Lee Weeks. Those are my tools. But in my personal life, I had more in common with the rubble at Hulk's feet than with the man himself. On paper, I was trying to keep things together. In the real world, I was spiraling deeper into the worst parts of myself. What started out as social drinking became daily drinking. I'd cut corners all month. I'll skip haircuts. I'll stretch dollars, but somehow always found an excuse for another pack, another drink. I was lost. I felt like a mindless Hulk, not smashing outward but destroying inward, surrounded by people who loved me yet feeling completely alone. It was like these absurd lines on the Hulk, an anatomy that didn't make sense, and I was trying to convince myself it all added up, but it didn't. It was chaos in the drawing, and it was chaos in my life. I didn't draw this picture when I was going through my ordeal last year. I couldn't have. Period. Full stop. I didn't have the source of strength that I do now. The drawing is done, and now sealed with fixative and clear gesso, and we begin laying down the first strokes of color. I start with a wash of burnt sienna, covering the whole page, and then with a clean damp brush, I lift the paint off certain areas. The goal is not to lose the image under a unified wash, but to let the light peek through, even in these early stages. From there, I move into a more pigmented wash, painting in areas of interest, shapes of debris, fragments of the landscape, the base of the structure of Hulk himself. This sets the stage, providing a clear direction for the layers to come, while still leaving room for adjustment. With my palette ready, I dive in. My method is simple. I start with the darkest tones and slowly build upward toward the light. Each stroke adds depth, carving clarity out of the chaos as the figure of Hulk begins to emerge through the smoke and destruction. For this piece, I also wanted to try something different. In most of my previous paintings, I leaned heavily on the flat, angled, and round brushes. But here, I picked up the filbert, a brush I've rarely used in the past. And honestly, the filbert provided some real advantages for this painting. Its rounded edges lets me blend smoothly without leaving any harsh lines. It was versatile enough to block in broad shapes and still carve out soft transitions. And it was perfect for painting organic forms like the Hulk's muscles because it naturally follows the curves and contours. The brush in my hand, the slow layering of colors, it became a reminder to focus on one thing at a time. Shoulders, back, shadows, light. Life can feel like it's moving a million miles an hour. But when you trust in God, He brings focus to your steps. You don't have to see the whole canvas. You just need to follow Him stroke by stroke. And that's exactly how life felt when the bottom dropped out right from under me. My bills were stacking up, uncertainty was everywhere, and me, I was still trying to claw my way through my own BS and drinking even more and more. Financial worry has a way of pressing down on your chest, and if you add extra vices the way I was doing, it was like smoke filling a room and stealing the air right from around me. But this is also where I began to realize that I could not do it alone. Like paint cutting through that smoke, guys, God began breaking into my life. I couldn't see the full picture yet, but I started to trust that He could. Where I saw only rubble, He was laying down the foundations. Where I felt weak, He was becoming my strength. Now, as the body takes shape, we arrive at the most important part of this painting, the expression on Hulk's face. Because the face is everything. It's what the world sees. It's how he's recognized, how he's labeled, and absolutely how he's judged. But what the world sees doesn't always match what we feel inside. The Hulk is a perfect example of that. To others, he's rage and destruction. But behind those eyes is Bruce Banner, fearful, fractured, and carrying the weight of what he hides. As I paint the Hulk's face, I think about that duality. The exterior might be raw power, but the interior is fragile humanity. Every line around his eyes, every shadow under his brow is a reminder that we're more than what the world projects on us. We wrestle with battles unseen all the time. And that's where my own life comes in. After the darkest of my darkest days last year, I was finally broken. And there was only one thing that was going to make me whole again. I gave myself to God fully. I confessed my sins not just to Him, but to my wife and my children. I couldn't hide anymore. That surrender didn't immediately erase the pain that I had, make no mistake. In fact, it magnified it. But no matter, because it gave the opening for God to rebuild me from the inside out. A holy explosion of gamma radiation, my peoples. So as I refine each detail of the face, the eyes, the expression, the subtle lines, it becomes more than technical work. It's a meditation on truth versus perception, on strength versus vulnerability, and on God beginning to restore what was broken. This is the moment where the Hulk, and in many ways we ourselves, start to truly emerge, revealed not by what the world sees, but by what God does beneath the surface. Now that the face is defined and Hulk begins to stand fully in form, it's time to tackle the background. This is where the story really expands. The debris, the smoke, the destruction all around him. Painting the environment is different from painting the figure. Here it's easy to get lost. You can overwork a wall, a cloud of dust, a shard of rubble. But I have to remind myself this isn't just background. It's the reflection of life itself. Chaos, trials, uncertainty. And yet, it's also where God works. Each stroke I lay down in the rubble, each smudge of smoke becomes an act of intention. I'm putting myself fully into this work, but without losing who I am. I can't let the chaos take over. I can't compromise my vision or my faith. As the layers build, I see the difference. Where there was only rubble, shapes start to emerge. Where there was smoke and shadow, light begins to break through. The Hulk may be in the middle of destruction, but through the debris, there is vision and there is purpose. This is the reminder I hold close. Just like in life, we can be surrounded by chaos, but when we trust in God, He rebuilds around us. He restores what's broken. He brings focus and clarity where there was none, and in the process, we remain ourselves, stronger, wiser, and ready to break through whatever comes next. Now we arrive at the home stretch. We're adding highlights, shadows, and the smallest details that bring everything together. This is where the painting truly begins to breathe. Each highlight on Hulk's muscles, each shadow in the debris, each spark of light in the smoke. These strokes are more than technique. They're a reflection of persistence, patience, and purpose. Every detail is a reminder that breakthrough doesn't happen all at once. It happens layer by layer, moment by moment, trusting God to guide the process. I'll let you watch. And here it is, breakthrough. As I step back, the painting comes together. Hulk emerges from the chaos, not just as a figure of raw power, but as a symbol of what it means to endure, to fight through doubt, to embrace faith, and to rebuild even when everything around you feels broken. If you're watching this, I want you to remember one thing. Your breakthrough is coming. No matter the chaos around you, no matter the walls that fall, God is rebuilding. Stay persistent, stay faithful, and keep putting yourself fully into what matters. If you've enjoyed this journey, make sure to like the video to support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss the next painting and story. And please comment below, what's your breakthrough moment? How are you trusting God to rebuild in your life? And if you want to take this piece home, prints will be available through my Etsy store. The links will be in the description and in my bio. Every purchase supports me as I continue to create, teach, and share these stories with you. Thank you so very much for being here. This is Arts of the Round Table. My name is Mello, and as always, God bless you. I'll draw you later. Bye-bye.